Senator Cruz is answering your questions just one more day to go before the big primary here in New York.
That's right. Next week, Pennsylvania votes. That's where we're going to go right now. John Carl's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's with voters at Honey Sit and Eat. Got a lot of questions for the senator. Let's go, John.
Hey, George, Robin, Senator Cruz. I'm joined here with Hannah O., 22-year-old Pennsylvania Republican voter, who, Senator Cruz, I believe is highly likely to vote for you, but has a highly relevant question here, considering it is tax day. What's your question, Hannah?
Hi, Senator Cruz. With a Congress that can barely pass a simple budget, how do you plan to pass something as contentious as the flat tax and abolish the IRS?
Well, Hannah, thank you for that question, and thank you for coming out today. You know, today, as everyone sends in their taxes, it really underscores the burden that our taxes put on our economy. My number one priority as president is jobs and economic growth. I think jobs and economic growth are what New Yorkers want. They're what people in Pennsylvania and Maryland want. They're what people all across this country want. And the biggest barrier to job creation is federal taxes and federal regulations. And we need to pull them back. Now, listen, passing a flat tax. I'm running on a simple flat tax where every American, every one of us, we can fill out our taxes on a postcard. And then, as you noted, we're going to abolish the IRS. Now, your question is, how do we get it done? I will readily confess that ain't easy. That is not a simple thing to do. But, you know, we have a great historical analog to it. If you look back to 1981, Ronald Reagan had just been elected president in a landslide election. And when he got in, Tip O'Neill, the Democratic Speaker of the House, told Reagan, said, don't even bother to send your tax plan to Congress. It is dead on arrival. Those are the words Tip used. Now, Reagan didn't saunter down to Capitol Hill and pour a scotch and use his legendary Irish wit on him. He knew that wouldn't work. Instead, Reagan went over his head, went straight to the American people, made the case to the American people. Tip had 20 Democratic votes in a Democratic House, but suddenly millions of Americans began lighting up the phones calling Congress, and Tip's 20 votes became 19, became 18, became 17, and it disappeared. We passed one of the biggest tax reforms, one of the biggest tax cuts in the history of this country, and it unleashed unbelievable economic growth. I intend to do the same thing with a simple flat tax, with abolishing the IRS. We're going to make 2016, the general election, a referendum on abolishing the IRS and repealing Obamacare. And the way to get it done is come out of the election with a mandate from the people. Let me explain it very simply. There's an old joke that politics is Hollywood for ugly people. That's how you get it done. You change the incentives where elected politicians want to stay in office. In other words, I can't get it done. It takes you. It takes every one of us. The only way to get it done is the way Reagan did it, with the Reagan Revolution, with a grassroots tidal wave. And I believe that's what we're seeing across the country.
Related economic issue, national debt. Senator Cruz, you heard Donald Trump say a couple weeks back that he could eliminate the national debt in just 8 years. You don't think that's possible?
Well, listen, Donald's calculator is missing a few keys. He's always interesting to watch. He's a fun entertainer. But Donald has no real solutions. If you look at the problems facing, you know, it's been a couple of months since we've had a debate because Donald is terrified of debating. The Democrats are debating. Now, why is it that the Democrats think the people of New York deserve a debate, and yet Donald Trump is so scared of a debate that he won't give the people of New York a debate? The reason is he doesn't have an answer. How do you bring jobs back to America? Donald has no idea. He has no proposals, no substance. On foreign policy, how do you defeat ISIS? Donald has no idea whatsoever. And so when it comes to the debt, he doesn't understand the problem. He hasn't spent any time studying. I'm running on 3 key issues: jobs, freedom, and security. You want to bring jobs back to America? I'll tell you how you do it. You lift the burdens on small businesses, tax reform and regulatory reform. You repeal Obamacare. You stop amnesty. You pull back the regulators. When's the last time you heard Donald Trump talk about regulators? Let me tell you, the EPA and federal regulators are hammering small businesses. You know, the gentleman with a pizza shop earlier today. How many small business owners are getting hammered by federal regulators? If I'm elected president, we're going to pull back the regulators, which means you're going to be able to expand your pizza shop. You're going to be able to hire more employees, and that's what people want. Donald doesn't have an answer to any of that. That's why he's hiding from debates and instead sitting there tweeting, we need real solutions to the problems facing this country.